economies are unlikely, if we are honest, and if we believe what our economists are telling us, to snap back from the COVID-19 pandemic as quickly as China, especially in Africa, where a lot of the countries actually went into this virus already quite crippled and already quite weak in terms of economic growth. So the margin for error is very slim for the continent to get its recovery plan wrong. While it is encouraging that we've got a whole lot of vaccines that are making their way to many countries, and we've got programs that are being rolled out, we need to make sure that we do it right. Otherwise, we are risking a prolonged economic downturn in which a lot of people face unemployment. So against this backdrop, I would like to introduce the next panel, the Czars, as Peace did tell us about, to really unpack what it is that is keeping a lot of these C-suite executives up at night as they try to chart their organizations forward from the pandemic. We're getting into that discussion in just a short while, but first, here are your panelists.
Audrey Fourie is the Group Chief Financial Officer at E4. She is a qualified CA with 20 years post-articles experience in the financial services sector. She has proven abilities to translate business strategy into well-communicated objectives and deliverables. Farah Ashiru Jitobu is the co-founder, CEO, and Chief Technology Officer at the Okra Group Nigeria. She has worked with multiple Fortune 500 companies in the USA, including JP Morgan Chase, Fidelity Investments, BMW, and Daimler Mercedes-Benz. Kenelwe Gwabeni is the Chief Information Officer for Telkom Business and YEP. She has a BCom Honours degree from the University of Cape Town and qualifications from Gibbs and Henley Business School. Kenelwe has over 20 years work experience in IT, with 14 of those years being in IT leadership roles. Raisibe Morathi is Chief Financial Officer for Vodacom Group Limited. Previously, she was the Group Chief Financial Officer of Nedbank Group Limited. Raisibe has spent over 26 years in the financial services industry in South Africa and has acquired extensive experience in banking and insurance. The moderator is CNBC Africa anchor Fifi Peters.
Well, let's get the discussion going. Welcome, ladies. Thanks so much for your time this afternoon. And Audrey, I'd like to ask you to kick us off today. What is giving you sleepless nights currently?
Well, you know, the whole situation from start to end really was quite stressful and pressurized, as you mentioned, for a variety of us, including me as the CFO. And I think for the first time in my life, in my working career, I really, felt responsible for ourselves, livelihoods, and the livelihoods of their families. So throughout this epidemic, I've really kept that front of mind. So although E4 is now doing much better in terms of the specific financial services segment that we operate in, we continue to robustly analyze and evaluate what's happening out in the broader market, what's happening on a day-to-day basis in our particular segment of the market, and looking at additional opportunities to sell new products to new clients and cross-sell to our current clients. As you would imagine, a lot of clients have taken a step back from investment decisions because they have various reasons for not wanting to invest funds right now. And that's obviously something that we're cognizant of, but we continue to work with our clients to assist them in their digitization journey.
Thanks. And, I guess, the worst, or some would argue that the worst is behind us after the past year that we've experienced. Notwithstanding the risk of a third or a fourth wave, I think that even if that does happen, we are better equipped to deal with them, or we hope, going forward. But notwithstanding, the road to recovery is still a long one, and I believe it's still going to be a tough one for many organizations. So Farah, coming to you, what are you concerned about in this tough economic environment still?
I think that Audrey had made a really good point. You're responsible for so many people's livelihoods. You're responsible for your entire team. And for us at Okra, we experience in this time, I think, one of the biggest conversations in every boardroom is digital transformation. How do we serve our customers digitally? And so with, the COVID acceleration, we found ourselves with, more customers, which is a good thing, but then also, you spend your time thinking about talent, bringing on and supporting your existing customers, because they're also going through, a time and a trying time trying to digitize their customers. So I think that for me, the thing that I worried about the most, aside from, the team and making sure the team was in the right place for growth and to support our customers, but it's also our customers and also, talent and people creating jobs in this time period as well.
Yeah. And let's talk to the women who are in the sector who has benefited in a big way from COVID-19, if we are frank, in the way that the virus has been a bit of a blessing to your sectors, and that is telecommunications. And if I can just come to, Raisibe, and just ask from a Vodacom point of view, given the demand and increased demand for your services that we have seen happen over this past year, is it a misconception for me to say that you in your C-suite, as well as the rest of your sector, have been having quite peaceful nights of sleep of late, or has there been challenges?
Good afternoon, Fifi, and happy International Women's Day and Women's Week across the globe. Fifi, I think the COVID environment has been a great lesson to many of us in different ways. And yes, in the responsibility that we play as telecommunications industry, we needed to make sure that lives continue to be supported. We needed to make sure that platforms such as what we are doing right now continue to run, i.e. people can connect. And for us to be able to do that, the digital inclusion became a key criteria, such that Vodacom reduced the prices for data by 40%, and we're still looking at further decreases in the prices of data. We zero-rated a number of services, including schools, clinics, provided the healthcare sector in different markets where we operate, with the access being through handsets as well as free data, to make sure that we can continue to support communities. The COVID environment, particularly in our continent, in Africa, will also be seen through the devastating economic effects. And for that reason, whilst we have continued to see, some level of digitalization continuing, I mean, let's face it, the level of e-commerce in Africa is way behind where it could potentially be. The quality of education has not been as much of what should be achieved. And as a result, we are seeing some lag effects where, despite all the efforts, certainly there has been some challenges relating to some kids continue to get quality education. So I would say that a lot of work is ahead of us. Many companies, including ourselves, are talking about the new normal. And the way Vodacom sees the new normal is that the level of telecommunications need to continue to be increased. The access point needs to continue to be increased. And for that reason, we are at peace with the fact that the prices will continue to reflect the level at which you need to reach diverse communities across different markets. And we need to make sure that access is the underlying factor for everybody to be able to do what they have to do. And I think from a business perspective, of course, the economies need to continue to work. So we need to assist new industries that are emerging.
Yeah, no, most certainly. Ganelwe, just some opening remarks from you, because I mean, the story of Telkom is one of two tales, one can say, because in as much as, yes, you're in a sector that has benefited quite well from the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of increased demand for your services, it hasn't been increased demand for all your services, because we have seen an accelerated decline in a lot of people using the fixed telecoms or traditional ways of communicating, right? Opting for the more newer technologies. So with that said, how is this impacting how you are viewing the road to a post-COVID-19 world?
Afternoon, ladies. Thank you very much, Fifi and Forbes, for this great opportunity to be part of the panel in celebrating women leadership in Africa. And Fifi, to your question, COVID, accelerated the fourth industrial revolution. And as such, within telecom, we had to sort of adjust quickly as well and make sure that we take care of our customers' connectivity needs. And where we relied a lot on the fixed connectivity infrastructure, it became very clear that with the pandemic and the lockdown, movement restrictions, etc., a lot of people were now relying on a more digital and remote connectivity. Therefore, what we did was accelerated our fiber rollout journey, because as you know, we were mostly a copper-based fixed connectivity infrastructure business. And then we had to tap into the digital sort of transformation journey and roll out the fiber and accelerated the replacement of this copper infrastructure. We have also, from a telecom business perspective, implemented an agile way of reaching out to our SMEs, ensuring that they are part of the digital transformation exodus and not leave them behind due to obvious financial difficulties that they found themselves in due to the pandemic. And what we've done is the implementation, obviously, of digital trading platforms, where we provided these SMEs with products and services that they will require in continue to run their businesses. We also looked at creating a larger ecosystem for the SMEs and their customers through an e-market digital platform, an e-marketplace digital platform. And as in efforts to elevate the SMEs' economic position, we are partnering with the large corporates to sort of bring them and play into this ecosystem platform that we've created for SMEs, where these large corporates will then advertise jobs and tenders on our platforms, so that the SMEs can respond and bid for these tenders, all in efforts to make sure that we continue to help them grow their business and into sustainable and profitable businesses.
Okay. And perhaps, if I just jump in there just for a second, I'll come back to you in just a moment. Time is so of the essence, and I'm told we've got less than 15 or so. And I'd like to get the rest of the panel's views on the narrative right now of building back better and the role that technology, the very important role that technology will play in achieving this narrative. Audrey, for you, as you look at us embracing or going further into this fourth industrial revolution, COVID didn't really give us a choice, we had to, but we welcome it. We welcome everything that has come on board. But as you see that happening, what is the risk, or what is the impact on gender parity? Do you see it moving forward for the better, or do you see us perhaps taking a couple of steps back?
Thanks, Fifi. I think, this is something that's actually very close to my heart, because I think as women, historically, we've shied away from, positions in the tech space. We see this in our own organization. The developers are males. On executive level, we have 70% male representation. So for me, it's important that we look at how we're going to take away that, that disparity between women saying on the one hand, but what am I going to do in tech? And, the men saying, well, it's a very interesting field to go into. So for me, what I envisage is more education to girls at school level, around the roles that's out there that you can fill in a tech organization or in the tech space. I memean, the colleagues around the table today know that there are a variety of roles that women can quite easily fill. So, so my team, from a socioeconomic development perspective, actually, developed a program for school kids to explain to them the different roles and the qualifications required. But it is quite difficult to get that across. I think what we've seen as an organization is a lot of companies do their own thing. We all kind of work on our own initiatives separately, and it's quite difficult to find the right organizations to partner with, especially if you're a medium-sized corporate. So yesterday was quite interesting. There was this discussion on Girls for Tech from a MasterCard perspective, and the discussion really going around STEM and how it's important for the girls to be more involved and become more problem solving. And I think that's really important. But what I actually wanted to say today is, if anybody on this panel or anybody in the audience today has any ideas around how we as organizations can us as E4 can roll out our program at school level or assist in the education of girls in technology at university or college level, then that would be great. And, I would really appreciate it if that person would connect with me on LinkedIn.
All right, that was going to be my next question. How do they reach you? But you have said LinkedIn, so make sure you do that if you do have ideas. But Farah, coming back to you, as we're talking about the Build Back Better, and as we're talking about trying to make sure that the gap that was created between, or that was made worse, rather, between men and women in terms of gender pay and equality of opportunity last year is reversed. What's your thinking around how we do that?
Thanks, Fifi. I think, for us, we've taken, female representation very seriously because, myself being a CEO and CTO, being female, it's really close to my heart to have that representation. I've, spent my entire career in engineering, and, I know very well, what the gap is between the female and male representation in my classrooms, in the professional field, and even now, at an executive level as well, you continue to see that. So I think that, one thing that with digital transformation and, like it was said here that, we're now in the fourth industrial revolution. We have to take data seriously. We know that this is the point. And, one thing that we are able to do in enabling, companies the ability to get their customers online is try to, focus on businesses that are serving the educational space, right? There and now as a customer, you still have access, because I think that before this and even before this, we didn't take digital transformation as seriously as we're taking it now. So even for the representation to even be able to sometimes afford to do something, or or even get into these fields where far and few between, you would have to figure out, how to do this. But now even educational companies have to digitize their processes. You're able to learn things. People have had even the time to learn things as well. And so what we're trying to do is find ways that we can aid in the in the process of, people learning to do this and closing the divide, and taking it from two steps. Of course, taking it from how we help our customers do this, but also taking it from how ourselves at Okra do this in a representation of women in our organization.
Yeah. Raisibe, I mean, in terms of the telcos, you were mentioning the, entering into new industries or supporting businesses in new industries. And we've seen your sector evolve and emerge into other industries from banking and from retail as now technology has enabled the hybrid of all. I just wonder then, is this where you potentially see some of the pain that we are experiencing now, particularly when it comes to the retrenchments that are happening and the job losses all across the economy? Could these areas potentially be the areas that offset the pain, perhaps specifically by way of job creation, with the telcos looking for a lot more or different revenue streams in other sectors?
So I think this new normal should be seen both as a great opportunity and a period to reset and relearn. But, I'm going to start perhaps just focusing on what should be done to preserve opportunities for today's jobs. It is very important to know that, especially in the context of today, we're talking about women, that we've had to put policies in place to make sure that enables people to continue to work in this troubled times. And we've had to look at things like, special COVID leave, that as a woman, you could have sick people in your home that you need to care for, or other family challenges, that we give you extra leave outside of your normal leave to be able to do that. We've also launched a platform for domestic violence and abuse, where people who are experiencing challenges at home can be able to call, but of course also give them alternatives for them to continue to have their productive lives continuing. But in terms of the new opportunities, the e-learning, e-entertainment, e-health is something that the world has perhaps been waiting for. We knew that it is coming, and what COVID has done has acted as a catalyst to actually fast track that. And for us to be able to continue to do that, we are constantly looking for opportunities to partner with both the private sector, public sector, governments, multinational organizations, working with the UN, and for that reason to be able to, get some of these opportunities where we can be able to assist people with small entrepreneurs to be able to continue to run their businesses and to be able to participate fully in e-commerce. As you would know, Vodacom is also a very big player in financial services. Our financial services customers are 57 million people, which is larger than the South African population. And this is being provided through the products in South Africa, as well as in East Africa, and most prominently the M-Pesa platform. And the M-Pesa platform has actually is sitting with a lot of use cases for agents and mom and pop stores who have today become functional businesses, because they have moved from just being users of the M-Pesa platform to being agents who enable other people to participate. In Kenya, as an example, our operations has more than 250,000 small entrepreneurs who are using M-Pesa as a platform. We have from governments, payments of social grants and others being distributed through this. So it has created a lot of business opportunities for people who are participating in the value chain. So for that reason, we believe that e-commerce is a big platform that we are able to enable.
All right. Let's actually perhaps stay on the positive note, Raisibe, that you have put us on. And if I can ask Inelwe, if maybe we can continue the positivity as we end this discussion. I mean, what are you excited about? We started this discussion talking about what's keeping you up at night, but what are you excited about, and perhaps the opportunities that may open up for women-led businesses as we go forward into 2021?
Fifi, if you find out now what's going on in the world is, even though we are adopting and still entrenching the fourth industrial revolution and understanding the whole concept in full, the world is already talking about the fifth industrial revolution, where robotics are going to be an integral part of the human race, which brings massive opportunities in the digital space. So we know that even though COVID-19 forced a lot of businesses and as well as corporates to let some people go because redundancy of roles was inevitable. Firstly, due to the economic challenges as well as the digital transformation journey. But the offset of the digital transformation journey, redundancy of jobs, is going to come through the creation of more digital roles that enables us to move forward. And this means that a change in a lot of things, regulatory, in a lot of policies actually the Department of Home Affairs has recently released a list of critical skills, right, that are going to help us reform our economy. And if you look at that list, majority of the jobs are digital-based roles. So the people who are impacted by the restructuring in the businesses and organizations have an opportunity to develop their skills and into the digital space and make themselves marketable. And we know that the SMEs were most impacted sort of players in the COVID-19 pandemic. So opportunities exist in making sure that us as corporates, we collaborate with them in taking them into the digital transformation journey. Yeah. We know that also, Fifi, we're looking from the telecom's perspective, expanding and extending our network coverage to include the rural villages so that they also are part of this big digital transformation exodus. So definitely opportunities are great, and it's up to us to work together and collaborate to make sure that we realize the benefits that are available to us.
Certainly agreed, 100%. Ladies, I'm going to have to thank you right now for your time as we have run out of time for this discussion. But of course, there's a whole lot more that is still planned for this afternoon. But thank you once again for certainly inviting us into your minds as leaders in the C-suite as to how you are thinking about the economy, how you are navigating the current volatility that is still underway. And of course, the opportunities, more importantly, the opportunities that you do see at the end of the tunnel.